This thing, you want to know about this thing? Well, yeah. Yeah, now it looks like this, which is pretty sad. But it's a tube frame thing. Couldn't think of any better name than to call it a tuber, because it's just made a square tube. It's just SHS. 5 million miles of it, I suppose. We've taken probably about 40 kilos of shit out of it. Just cut randomly everything we possibly didn't think was necessary. Even that shitty old motor. So it's a tube frame thing. It's got the front of a Honda in the front and the front of a Honda in the back, and then the front wheel drive motor of a Honda in the back. Yeah, that's gone in the bin. Now it's a Camry 1MZ manual, and somewhere back there, when that's all good, it's gonna go choo. So yeah, we're looking to run it. Primarily want to focus on getting it running for Race Wars 19, which is now, it's July 2018 now. So Race Wars is in March, I believe. It's around that area. So it's got to be going for basically February, which leaves us about 6 months to procrastinate and about 3 weeks to actually do anything at all. It needs engine mounts, wiring, cooling system, electrical system, drive shafts, kind of an exhaust, and then maybe a windscreen. I think it's probably going to be a good idea. They're talking about running a 3-kilometer long hill climb, which is going to be freaking rad in this thing. As far as power goes, I don't know. You just got to wind it up until it doesn't like life anymore, and just have a bit of fun. Really, it's just a shit kicking project that turned into a shelf. Really, I wish I had pictures of all the crap we'd pulled off it. It was meant to be a really wide structure. I do have a nose cone somewhere. It tried to get blown away in the wind once, but the bastard thing came back, so I wasn't too happy about that. It had a radiator mounted in the front, had coolant pipes running up and down the side of the car. It was a freaking mess. It's a bit long of a thing, but maybe we can fix that with some extra wide tyres. It's because it's all Honda stuff, it's all 4x100, so we just have to get some I don't know, super dynamic rice wheels, I don't know, negative 1000 or something to even out the front wheelbase. Front to rear anyway. I don't know, might put a big T-wing on just for some giggles. See how many giggles we can get out of it overall, really. And now's about the time I'm going to start actually doing something with it. So yeah, let's get to it.
Hello, Harry.
How you going?
I'm alright. What's going on?
I think we're going to be here to do some work on this shitbox.
Yes. I've nicknamed it Jenga now.
Jenga?
Yeah. Jenga champion.
Jenga puzzle of shit piled on top of the car.
But nobody can win because the shit just keeps getting piled on top. Nothing falls.
I guess we're going to start taking some stuff off it then.
Yeah, man. I reckon today what we should get up to is probably take all the wiring off the motor and expose the motor, and then we can do the engine mounts, and then you can start to do the wiring. I know how much you love wiring.
Yeah, sounds good. My favourite. Nice LSD here.
Oh, what's that? Oh yeah, we got an LSD.
That'll be handy.
Thank you, WTF Auto.
Thank you
for that LSD. It's very nice of you.
Alright.
Now that we've got all the wiring off, and see what we've sort of got to deal with. Pretty much just we're gonna solid mount this motor because why the hell not? It's not a road car. We're just gonna come off this chassis here, just outrigg, join those two together with a bit of a bar, and all we want to do is hang the motor at this point. We'll worry about the rear mounts later when we can get it on the lift. And this mount here usually has an extension up the top. Just sort of going to pick up the chassis here and pick it up off of that. It's pretty much all there is to it. There's the other mount down there. Yeah, so we've got to pick up off. I might just make something new. And the rear one has like this weird mount on the drive shaft there. I think I'm definitely going to make something new to go on there, and I'll just like pick that up off the rear cross member. So it should be all good. Yeah, so a bit of progress update. It's like finished that engine mount. Basically just throwing more tube at it. Well, what else are you going to do with the tuber, really? I'm just finishing off this one. It wasn't going the right way I planned, so literally just throwing more tube at it. Just going to have like a vertical brace. As I said, this engine's going to be hard mounted, so yeah, just got to make sure the front and rear torque mounts are stronger than this, which might be difficult. We might have to get some like steel girders or something like that. But yeah, she's good. So I just got to weld this vertical brace. Then we'll probably take the bricks out from underneath it. And yeah, my mouth's really dry.
Like a sinking weld into the tube. Awesome. Like the same music, yeah.
So the engine's mounted, got two mounts in there. It's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. So what's the next thing, Harry? You've been sorting out the loom, we just like got to install it now, hey?
Yeah, just gonna install the loom.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, done.
Done deal.
Call it a day, hey. Is your mouth dry? My mouth's pretty dry.
I think it's time for beer.
Yeah, oh, here's Doug. Doug turned up. Hi, Doug.
Same thing, man.
What projects have you got, Doug?
So mine.
Oh, Doug's Carlos Douglas.
Give him some jobs to do.
Yeah, put him to work. Righto, that's the end of episode 1. Next should be hopefully
Skids.
have the. Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't.
Gotta be skids.
No.
What's the point?
No pressure. No pressure. Holy dolly. Alright. Next thing's probably going to convert it into a 2-seater.
The fly.
And maybe put the tank in and maybe a pump and stuff. And yeah, a bit more progress would be good. We're not in a mirror, we have switched the car around. Cool. Until next time. Today at the shed, we find out what happens when you just don't listen to your mum. What's this mad dog doing? Yeah, I'm reusing brake line as a clutch line. So this was from a Suzuki Swift that we had, and it's pretty much the perfect length for a clutch line. So I'm just going to straighten it out, and yeah,
put my own bends in it and just reuse it, rework it. It's all steel. There's no reason why you should just throw it away. We can lightly conform it. If we want to do a large radius, just use it like that, and then we can, we can go around corners and things like that, like really neat. So I don't actually want to do that. So I'll just make this really awkward from us and twist it. So from start to finish, got a KE70 clutch master cylinder, had that laying around. Brackets made out of patio tube. Heim joint there, it's left over from the shifter. Pedal was existing. Got the line, is 2011 Suzuki Swift. Got some of these little P brackets. They're from an old Hilux diff. And there's another P bracket there. Goes through. There's a Union down there. That's from a Swift. There's another little brake line. It's off my old Starlet. Comes up there. Up to there. That standoff is from the Camry. The holding clip is off the MR2. And this is from a rear-wheel drive Corolla. And there we have a free functioning clutch line system. All that's reused. Someone would have thrown all of that in the garbage. There's no reason to throw everything away. You can reuse and recycle and repair. Alright, so this fuel system's a non-return system standard. Need to make some modifications to the rails. Basically, all I did was tap them to MPT and then out to push lock, and then straight into the fuel regulator. So we got both sides coming in, and then that'll come down. And then fuel line will come down here and around. But the next challenge is going to be making this work. So, because of the ECU we're using, it needs this crank angle sensor. Now, what I have to do is adapt this to basically sit on here. Well, that's going to entail is welding a plate onto there and then putting some studs for these to go on, and then I've got to obviously make it drive. Now this has a offset key inside it. If I can get the focus. And inside there is the offset key, and basically I'm gonna have to adapt that to drive that. So what I'm going to do is I've got the bolt from the end of the camshaft that holds the cam gear on. I've had this machined out, and this is the drive that's been ejected from the standard camshaft. So I just cut the back of the camshaft off till it revealed the edge of this, and then knocked it, pushed this pin out. So that'll drive the crank angle sensor. So the idea is this is a press fit. So what we're going to do is do some white man magic, and we're going to warm this one up, and this should drop straight in. And there we have it. And this is what it should end up like. A Nissan Cass on a 1MZ. Right, so I've got the crank angle sensor all hooked up here. I'm leaving it so it'll rotate 360 degrees at this point because yeah, I don't know how entirely accurate I was. I try to be as accurate as possible. But you know, it's easy. I can just put it to where I need it and then tap the holes and that's it. It's all good. So we've got the wiring hooked up. We've got a lot of stuff verified. So now everything's sort of plugged in and I'm just going to run through the steps of commissioning the ECU. So when we're coming to commission the ECU, one of the things I always like to do is just have a battery charger. You're probably going to be cranking this thing for quite a while. Alright, so all of our stuff works. We got power, there's a like little switchboard, and just confirm the work. Go over to the ECU, ECU's lit up. And we'll come over here to our ECU software. And we'll go connect. So we'll see it's like connected. We've got the base settings like water temp's definitely working. All this motor really needs is TPS, crank signal, water temp, and bam. So if I crank, see that we've got consistent movement. Bolts working, so ECU is sort of functioning basically. So the next thing we have to do is set the timing. So on the Microtech, we go into setup, and we go to all the way here, TDC ref, and then if you're on a laptop, you press M to put it in program mode, and we'll use this setting here, which is basically that's the timing offset, and we'll configure this crank angle sensor to TDC on the motor. So when you're doing timing, commissioning your motor, I like to have a separate battery hooked up with a timing light, and I like to use my digital timing light. It's great. Now another tip that I'd like to share, just a tip, is if you put a mark on the front of your crank pulley, it's a lot easier to see where your pulley is. Because if you're just pointing this down here, looking for this tiny mark, and you'll be like, oh man, where the heck is my timing mark? But if you had this line on here, just shine it on the front of the pulley, you'll be able to see wherever it is, and then just spin the Cass around, and you'll be able to configure it a lot more easy. It's also pretty good having a remote panel. It makes it quite easy. Looks like I'm actually not too far off. Move it around a little bit. Alright. Now we put the timing lock on. And then you come over to our ECU, take it out of timing lock, and that's our timing setup. So this is where I ended up, which in actual fact is not too bad. I'm not too far off. So I'm just going to drill and tap those holes, at least one of them, and yeah, let's get make up some mock-up shafts so I can have some shafts made. We're only going to be running NA for now, but see, I've got drive shafts. This is our wreckers. I'm going to drive shafts with a red and blue spanner, and got a Honda shafts. And pretty much what I'm going to do is, at least this side, anyway, this one is the driver's side one, so that goes in the gearbox, and this shaft goes into the axle. Just going to cut it, weld it, and see if I can get something made. If not, then it's going to be pretty drastic measures. I'm sure I can get something made. There are only a certain amount of spline, diameter and stuff. The shafts themselves look pretty similar in diameter. Worst case scenario, I'll be slotting the shafts, joining the shafts, pinning the shafts, sleeving the shafts, all that sort of thing. It should be strong enough, at least for NA. And let's face it, I think it's going to be fun enough NA. So yeah, just see what I can come up with. Just gonna make it as I go, pretty much. Oh well, here we are. Gonna start by cutting the dags off the shaft. It's not really straight, but who really cares at this point? It's just for mock-up and stuff like that. Alright, so we're mocked up. Sort of mocked up a caster rod because assembly is like in the front of the car. Just like join these two shafts like that. Just going to put a spot weld in there, hold them together. You can see I've got daylight in there. So pretty stoked. Drive shafts will work. This was one thing that was going to hinge the build. So also got ABS knuckles as well. Not actually sure what knuckles these are, so stuff's getting a bit weird, so I'm going to have to take the pads, see what the pads fit, and then we can figure out what knuckles we've got, and figure out possibly a brake upgrade. And realistically, if we can get ABS front knuckles as well, then we can add traction control if we had a more up-to-date ECU. So that's one shaft. And to top that off, we've also managed to dig up some genuine work CR01 wheels. I'm pretty excited. These look pretty cool. They're 15x8, 15x9, zero offset. Not that it makes much difference to this thing. But with a 9-inch, we can put 275s on this bad boy. Looking forward.
Today at the shed, we harness the power of the sun.
Alright, so before I had my operation, my arm's free. A little bit of body work on this tuber. So the steel framework going on. Just did sort of compound bends using X and Y axis, using the hoist and some bricks. This rear spoiler, imagine that, I just flipped it upside down and had bricks on the ground and put the pipe in between the span and just basically just stood on it to get that arc that you can see there. And on the front, I've enclosed this cabin into like a little bit of a cage. So there'll be just a flat plate over the top of this. The sides will carry up and there'll be kind of a bit of an undercroft under there. All I really wanted to do was cover all the components and the front end to make it a bit more aerodynamic, but I think it's going to look pretty cool. Alright, so here I've just got some random sheet metal, just aluminium, like 1mm thick aluminium, and got off the side of the road, and all I'm going to do is just cut a flat sheet, just a rectangle. It's like 1400 by 200, I'm pretty sure, and just lay it over the top of this, and I'll probably put it underneath as well. If I don't put aluminium underneath, I might just use core float underneath. So yeah, I've got this core flute stuff. It's like an SL plastic sheet, and it's like pretty cheap. It's like for a 1200, 2400 sheet, it's about $11. But again, yeah, I got it off a Curb Mart, and I'm just gonna put it over here and try and conform it to the sides. And if core flute conforms, then sheet metal would conform, and we can go ahead and sort of start ordering aluminium or whatever. And if not, then I'm going to just have to compound the core flute, and we're going to have to just fiberglass the sides. Alright, so time for some core flute. This is what the stuff actually looks like, just so people get an idea. Let's put some on. At some point, we were going to want to drive this thing at night time, whether doing a rally sprint or doing some like shooting. So luckily, my good mate Dave donated an old LED light bar that he had. It's about a bazillion watts, so it should be fine for us. The problem with the light bar is that it had these end caps on it, and unfortunately there was a bolt stuck in the end cap. So pretty much just throw those away. And I made my own end caps out of just some aluminium, and they adapt to just other plates. Then they bolt to the front of the car. So now we'll have some light. Now that I've got some sort of dash pad installed, probably transfer all these switches over to here and put in some of our gauges. Well, that was unexpected. So we're making pretty good progress now, making really good headway. Motor runs, got some sort of like body panels on it, which like, man, looks freaking awesome. Like, I'm so stoked with how it's like turning out. Radiators mounted, like the dash is in and stuff. We've got gauges, got electrics going on. I'm going to finish wiring all this off later. So the next part is being able to like operate the gears. This selector assembly is off an A82 Twinkie that we kind of like experimented with, but this this linkage will fit with the SW20 stuff, and it's pretty much spot on the length that we need. But the problem is that I need to reverse this linkage, so that's something I can do when after I've made brackets and stuff like that. So all I'm going to do is like chop it and spin it around, and so it'll select on in the right orientation. So what I've got to do is I've got to get, when the engine and gearbox come out, to install other bits and for us to paint the frame and stuff like that. I'm going to install SW20 linkage and selector stuff, which has been provided by WTF Auto. They've been like super awesome in providing stuff, hard to get things and just like odd little things that, you know, they have laying around and things like that. So I've got the bracket for the selector cables mounted on the box at the moment, and I've done a bit of test fitting with these, and that'll be the next thing that needs to go on. You'd think being able to select gears is all good, but we also need a brake, like a handbrake and stuff, to stop the car moving, and it's part of a lot of the regulatory management of the sort of racing that we're going to do. So need to install this guy. So this is just thanks to eBay, $32 handbrake. It can go in a few different orientations. You may have actually seen one of these on the latest Mighty Car Mods Interceptor. What did they do? It's like a commercial for super cheap. They actually use this exact same handbrake as it turns out. It's not why I used it, but it just turns out that that's what they wanted to use as well. So I'm going to have to mount this, and the way I'm going to mount it is I'm going to flip this over so the lines come in underneath, and I'm going to mount it forward of the shifter and make it so that it comes over the top of the shifter, because, well, you're never using the shifter and the handbrake at the same time. That'd be pretty awkward. So I'm going to mount this and then mount this forward, maybe a little bit offset. But the main thing is that we don't have a lot of width. I'm going to have to mount the seats before I do that. So this is where project and prioritizing comes in. So you need to work out the order of things and then do them in the order, and you know, then you're not doing things 10 times over. So I suppose the next bit is going to be installing the seats, removing the seats, installing the seats, removing the seats. But now I'm just going to have to fab up a load of mounts and stuff now, I suppose. As far as seats go, we certainly don't compromise here. We got two of China's finest. These are not real Bredays. They are copies, and they were $50 for the pair, and the guy dropped them off.
Now because we got these seats, I can simply just cut these tabs off and weld other bits to them, because the rails are steel, there's no adapting to weird stuff. And to save you all the boring stuff, here's one I prepared earlier. Now I just got to throw it in and we're done. Time for a lemon squash. Today's shed, tube. So the original plan was to put tabs on the side of the seats and pretty much just put a channel coming off the sides here to fix the seats in, but yeah, I wasn't too happy with that. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. So what we're actually going to do is do it like a proper car and add channels to the car. So what Harry's done is make up a channel. So it's just like a C purlin channel, and I've drilled some holes for increased speed holes, and I've got captive nuts on the inside there, just like a regular car, I suppose. And so this guy, there'll be two of these. So this guy fits in there. Fits in there. So what I'm gonna do is well here, here, and here, and finish off the one for the front. And yeah, then it'll be pretty good. It'll be like a normal car, and it'll be like really strong, and scrutineers won't have an issue with it at all. So yeah, happy with that. So we've also managed to get some panel work on this car. Funny story, I was going to pick up some stuff for a marketplace deal, and there was a load of signs in the bin, and signs are made out of aluminium laminated sheet. So we scored quite a few aluminium panels for free, and true to what I'd hoped, the panel work ended up conforming to the side of the car. So I know it's pretty hard to get an idea of what this thing looks like as it is. I'm pretty keen to get it out in the sun, get it outside, see the side profile and stuff. We can see it all in one eyeful. As far as the engine goes, I've got the radiator plumbed up. I just ended up getting some stainless hose, and after I made this new welding trolley that I've got, I sort of fired up this TIG and just made some simple hoses to go to the radiator. Now that's not our final radiator, so that's going to be fine for the radiator we're going to actually use. And you can see it sort of hits the intake there. That's okay because we've got some plans. Well, some people might remember this from when I sized up the drive shafts. Well, I've been to the machinist and I've come back from the machinist. What I've been supplied is this guy. This has a replacement guarantee. I've been told that each one of these shafts should support 400 horsepower each. Alrighty, so I brought little tuber boy out to the alfresco area, and yeah, it's time to get busy with making the torque mounts. These are the mounts that go on the forward side and the rearward side, and they stop the motor from rocking. So when you activate the power transmission, the motor will want to move this way. So I need to add a mount down there, and I need to add a mount somewhere down here. I'm probably going to go off just under those gear linkages where like the SW20 has their standard mount. Probably like come up to this tube here. I'm going to put some take the hole out a fair bit and put cross tubes in there,
this thing is going to be very, very strong. Basically, I want to build this so it can be abused the hell out of, and we'll never ever have a problem. Well, I hope so anyway. Alrighty, I'm just working on the rear engine mount. It happens to be, conveniently, some threaded holes up there. So I'm just linking up from this part where on an SW20 and a Camry, funnily enough, there is already a factory trans mount. So get some focus there for you. So usually the trans mount just goes on here, on these two, and there's a brace, just like a little tab that comes out. But I'm using this one, this one, this one, and that guy up there to bolt to. As you can see, I've been like welding on the against the box. So yeah, it's a bit of spatter on there. Time! Can you believe people throw this stuff out? It's incredible. Oh well, better break it up. So what we're gonna do is get this.
Hey!
What?
Pay attention to me!
Fuck's sake, man, I'm just trying to make this video. Today at the shed. Alrighty, so we're in the depths of it now. We've just dropped the motor out. Just to do a final cleanup of the body and all those sorts of things. So we'll come through here where Harry's got the box off the motor. So what have we found with the clutch, Harry?
It's done a few skids, I gotta say.
Yeah, wow, okay. Well, that's how you get the life out of your clutch, I suppose. It's even, yeah, wow. Cool. What about the pressure plate? Yeah, that's certainly seen better days. How's that flywheel look? That's the most important part. Yeah, wow, okay. I think old Joe Public is taking up motivation entries, I think. Other than that, the motor was very good. You can see from the reflection there, you can see the bluing in the flywheel. Now we'll have to, there's even a crack in it, like just there, a rather large one. You can see quite easily that this thing has done a few drop one mates. Alright, apart from that, the motor actually runs really well.
Surprisingly well.
And, yeah, surprisingly well. And I'm rather impressed at how quiet and smooth the motor is, but I suppose that's the good thing about a 1NZ. They take shit and then throw it back in your face. So we're definitely up for a new clutch, that's what we imagined. But we'll just have to take the flywheel off and have that skimmed and see where we're at there. There should hopefully be enough meat on the flywheel to recover that. And in the meantime, I'll be cleaning up this gearbox over here, and we'll pull that apart and put the bits inside there. Alright, it's 10:30 on a Monday night, and yeah, what are we doing, Harry?
Finally got this box apart.
Missing bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't clean well enough, and we missed one of the bolts. So it's effectively taken us 6 hours to get this transmission apart. For the diff install, yeah, the LSD here and piece of shit here. As far as the box goes, the box looks really, really good. Everything was properly stuck together, and no, everything looks pretty good. This is the differential
This is sort of what differentiates the wheel speed as you turn around a corner. Now this is a Toyota factory LSD. This is probably not what you'd see if you look like into a Cusco one or anything like that. This is slightly different. So this is the sealed unit inside here. See the weld marks in here. So these clutch packs, I actually can't adjust them, which I'm a little bit upset about. But this tube here is actually the plunger for the preload. And what it has on the gears is this shim here. Now, I'll try and get this. Yeah, here we go. Surprisingly easy. So, if I measure the shim and pack it up a little bit, I can preload the LSD a bit. You can see where it's worn a fair bit. Even flipping this over would give it the LSD like a little bit more preload, but I think I'd rather give like maybe 10th hour more preload or something like that. I'll see if I can dig up some machine steel or a washer or something like that, and we'll pop that in there and put it back, and we'll have a shimmed LSD. Well, scratch that. What I ended up doing is I did some tests, and this is actually machine spring steel. So going in line with all the Cusco and Kaz centers that I've pulled apart over the years, I found something that was effectively a die, and turns out to be snap-on hammer. Has a really good radius and a bit of a lip on there. Bit of 50mm stainless pipe. Got the washer, put it on there, put this over the center. Mind you, these are very well precisely right angle cut, and put it over here. And then what I did, got this hammer, tap tap, tap-a-roo. I have this thing here. It's got a 1MZ in it, and as much as I enjoy the 1MZ, it's just not awesome enough. So I'm just going to increase the level of awesome by about 6 times. And a pretty surefire way to make a 1MZ awesome would be to use these two. So these are GSXR 750 throttle bodies. The GSXR 750 is an EFI motorcycle. These throttle plates are 42 millimeters, which are exactly the same as the ports on the 1MZ. So these, it's obviously a 4-cylinder. I was pretty much shit out of luck as far as options for 3-cylinder EFI motorcycles go, so I'm just going to make these things work. The coils are in a gang of 2, sorry for the noise there. They're bolted together, front and back. Now, all I'm going to do is pretty much create this part here on this part. So the first thing is going to be to lop off one throttle and expose the shaft, and then I'm just going to have to deal with like what happens from there. I'm just going to have to make it up as I go a little bit, so please bear with me, because I've never done this before and I haven't managed to find anyone else who's done it. What I've got is a stainless steel plate, and I had this made at a local laser cutter shop. So this fits the flange of the 1MZ intake, so I'll take that off and show you how that fits on. The ports on this are made round. Now the ports on the 1MZ are not all perfectly round like these are. I did this on purpose. These are slightly undersized at 41 millimeters, and that 41 millimeters overlaps the inside of the hole of all the ports, so that I can match port the underneath of this later on, and then we'll actually match the ports. But it's more important because I'm going from a round tube to a weird shape. I can use this as an adapter as well, and that's what I'm going to do. This is 304 stainless. This is 8 millimeters. Alright, so the first part is done. Relieve these of their extra number 4. So you might be wondering, well, I've cut them off there. Now, I'll reveal that later on. This took a little while to figure out myself. I've left myself a little bit of a doodle on here, so that I can shape this to whatever shape I need to, or to tap it and I can make an adapter. I left a little wing on the side as well, so I can put a flat plate on there. Whatever I need. Like, I don't want to screw myself up and cut myself short, as it were. So yeah, I left all this on this piece, so I just cut this straight off of there, and I left this piece on, so again, I'm not sort of selling myself short. Like I said, no one's done this before, as it seems, so just gonna take this as it goes. Now the next part is the pipe. Now I couldn't get the pipe that I wanted, so I just got some 50mm pipe, and I'm just going to make it the right size. Now I need 42mm ID, and that pipe over there is 50mm ID. So that's 1.6mm pipe. So what I need is about 45mm OD. I couldn't get 45, I could only get 46, so either way I was going to be cutting it, and I wanted to leave myself a little bit of room. Plus, it's 50mm pipe. I can always use 50mm pipe everywhere, but can't use 45 a dick. Alright, I've got the intake off, and you'll see that the ports are on an angle, so they oppose each other. So 2 and 4 and 6 go that way, and naturally 1 and 3 and 5 go the other way. So we need it, well, we want to match those ports the angle of those ports. I'm sorry. For the actual velocity stacks to like work properly, and they'll be efficient and all that. So I actually measured the port angle to be this. So this is the downward stream into the head, and this is the line of level between the fuel rails on top of the motor. So this is the angle that I need to produce the pipes coming off of the flange from the top of the motor. So what I'm going to do is mark this out, do a little bit of maths, find the numbers, mark my chop saw, and then start cutting a few bits off. Okay, let's see. 30 degrees. So after I've got them all tacked in, sort of welded in between the pieces as well, and we have the basic formwork of it. Alright, this is the 1MZ TPS. That's what I'm using. I've just knocked the back off to do some testing with it. You can see it's a flat drive. So all I've done is just make it flat. Wow, it's incredibly difficult. So this guy just goes on here and turn it around here, so it's spring loaded in its position, and all I'm going to have to do is make a bracket, or just make a flat bracket with tangs on it, and I can bolt it through this piece here. Well, with a buttload, welding, grinding, die grinding, all those sort of things, this is what I ended up with. So the next step would be to get the throttles, get the tubes, and match them all up. Alright, to link these onto the manifold that I made, just going to use some radiator tube. This is from a Land Cruiser. So I've put all the pipes on, drawing the throttles up. So I made this plate for the top. The plate's just a piece of aluminium. Just knocked it down in the middle and holds the throttles together. It's pretty tight, like tighter than the grip of the vice actually was. It's yeah, obviously just like fell out of the vice. Just been like cleaning up all that other stuff, and I've finally got this bar back in. Just wanted to get a bit of video on my coping skills. I've decent coping skills, as you can see. Yeah, it's not bad. Took 2 or 3 cuts, bit of eyeballing. What I'm going to do on the inside of here, because this was poking out here and basically the motor won't fit, just going to put a steel plate on the back there to tie all those bars together to make it strong again. Not that it's not strong, I mean, got a whole chassis supporting it, but if it looks fancy, people think it's fancy. It's the life of Instagram, I suppose. Hey. Yep. Finally, this bar work is done. Cannot believe this bar work is done. It's incredible. It's the first thing that I picked out when we got the thing, that there was no bar work for harnesses, and now we finally have it. So pretty much the back end, so the fabrication is done. Still need to sort of fix that sharp angle there. That's no dramas, and probably like swish over a few bits with the flat disc, cut that exhaust mount down a little bit, sort of went over the engine mount a bit so that it looks a bit smoother, a bit more aesthetically pleasing, some people would say. Honestly, it never really worried me, but I'm just worried about the snowflakes who worry about what's on Instagram. So in saying that, this thing is damn strong. I mean, you look at my other car is a sub 900 rear-wheel drive Toyota Starlet, and it's got 400 horsepower, and this is going to have like 180, and it's literally made out of 4 times more metal than the Starlet is. It's pretty ludicrous. And in saying that, all this body work is just framework. There's nothing to do with the structure, but you still want to make it look nice anyway. You want to smooth it off. And the main point for me is the rollover protection. That's really important, and it's also why I kind of bulked this up so that the angle of free air, if it were to go over, not that I really would enjoy that, too much, but you want to ensure that you're probably going to have a good chance of survival if something does go wrong. And I mean, that's why we build these things safe in the first place. I mean, if I didn't care, I probably wouldn't put harnesses thing in, and probably would just put milk crates in the thing, and you know, should all be good. But you know, we got to put a sealed fuel cell in there. We're going to seal it off from the cabin, all that sort of thing. You know, we're using the right lines. We just want to do it safe, and I can't sort of express that enough, that a lot of this thing has taken so much time because it's had to be redone so much over, because I just wasn't happy with a lot of things, and all the fixings and all the body work and everything is really engineered beyond a normal road car. And you know, this is definitely not my first rodeo, and I've done a lot of improvements to this chassis that probably not a lot of other people would have done. But saying that, it's all up to the people who look at it to tell us whether it's good or not. So we've just got to do our best job, and I hope that we're accepted, really. For the most part, I'd like to think that I knew what I was doing, but sometimes you just have to make it up as you go. So as far as the shifter of this box, right, so we've gone from front wheel drive Camry box, and it's now got Celica GT4 mid case, which is a whole other story. Those who follow the Facebook will know what's going on.
So this guy here is a Camry shifter, so that comes out the back of the box. But that obviously wasn't going to work for us because we needed it to like come out the back. So what I did was I cut this a bit and cut one of these, which is a 2-3 selector, and I welded it onto here. If I can get the focus, which is playing funny buggers on me. So I welded it to that shaft. I've got a SW20 cap on there, so that's blind, and I had to drill a hole in the casing, which was difficult. And the now extended shaft, I've used the SW20 arm on here. This part is original Camry, and I've had to modify this extensively to kind of work. This bracket system here is SW20. Sorry for the shaky, I'm holding a camera. Now, as far as the shifter cables, these are from an A82 twin cam, and so is the shifter itself. So this originally had a lot more metal. I made it into a lot more pieces over there, and I've had to flip this upside down. So this shifter is now upside down to the orientation it would be, and this arm has been cut off of down there, and this has been cut off, and I basically like re-welded them on, and I made this bracket out of 90/90 square tube, which is what my patio here is made out of. And then I used the tabs off the A82 Twinkie shifter assembly and sort of put them in place. Now this has just taken me a whole entire day. Now we just need to put this whole thing together. Alright everyone, welcome back to the Tuber Chronicles. As I explained last time, it's almost pretty much ready to go in. I have put this shifter in, and the mist you can see there is my sort of alfresco misting setup. I've just put some plates on the side of there. We've got the handbrake inner working as well. That's just a hydraulic inline handbrake, kind of like this. And what I've actually done is I got some sheet metal. No expense spared, as the real purpose, the true mentality of this. It's some roof ridge capping that I got from Curb Mart, and sort of just made it into a center console. See if I can get it on kind of there. Goes something like this. So yeah, that'll look pretty neat. Just going to put a bit of marine carpet on top of it, kind of like this one. Also got some panels here as well. They're going to go in the floor, and just marine carpet on those, kind of like this. And maybe some on the side there where I painted black. This is going to just stay how it is, because the extra bit of floor for your feet is pretty good. As you can see, we now have a throttle pedal, which we were definitely lacking before, and that's all working. I've made some little plates to cover the cavity, the service cavity in behind there. So there's lots of like electrical stuff, there's like fuel lines in there, there's hydraulic lines and stuff like that. Just capping all these things just makes it look pretty nice. Just tripping over an extension lead here. Safety first, you know. The shafts are in. I was so totally stoked that the shafts worked out perfect, and I just couldn't imagine these shafts not working. It would have made me very upset. I've also made the caster / radius rods. So what I've done is where the original subframe bolted to there. So these have cross tubes inside here. I made these two plates, and you can see back this part here. This is a 2.6 wall piece of tube, and there is a 5mm piece of plate on the end of it with a hole the right size. I'm just going to switch to manual focus. With a hole the right size for the rod to go through. So the front bush is external and the back bush is captive, and that is our caster slash radius rod. It's a good range of movement, doesn't foul with anything, it's quite far away. Upon the suggestion of young Matt, I've moved the brake lines underneath, and it is a lot neater. It's a lot better brake lines being under there. I've just today made some panels to fit under here, so that's pretty good. Now, we didn't end up using our Evo type radiator. Some R33 shrouded fans come up for sale, $50. That's the right kind of price. It's $25 a fan. Sheet metal is, yeah, it would cost a fair bit of money to buy that. So that came up, and then Nissan being Nissan, an S15 Koyo radiator came up for sale. So I was like pretty stoked, and that was only $100. So radiator setup cost us $100, but the support system wasn't very good. So a bit of a last minute decision. We've added this sort of rear bumper now. And if you go all the way back to the beginning of all this, you'll notice that there is part of the original front hoop that we deleted because, well, we didn't need that. And I've put like pieces of angle on there, and that's how the radiator is supported. Sits in there, and I've got a rubberized mount on the top that dampens the radiator. You may also notice that the motor is back in and the RTBs are working. I've made some radiator pipes. Just sort of tick those up. We scuffed up the cam covers and sort of just painted a bit of silver on them. We've got a breather set up there. It's like a 19mm breather on there, and whatever the standard one is looks about 1/2 inch-ish. And just got to make a catch can, which is going to go just down there. That should look pretty neat. But other than that, I've reinforced the front caster rods. So it's like some pretty heavy plate in there, just for rigidity. What else have we got? There's been a lot happening here. Yep, we have a throttle pedal now. It's sort of something we were lacking before. So it's getting to the point where it's pretty close to at least being able to do some road testing, but definitely is very, very close to going for tune. Organising with WTF Auto to get this in whenever we can. They are super busy at the moment. One pretty cool thing that came about from a suggestion after finishing the dash, we've actually added a USB outlet. So this little module just slips into an all slot, and it's just got spades on the back of it. And all you do is put 12 volts in the back and 5 Vs come out, and I think it's like a 3 amp power supply, so we'll be able to charge like phones, cameras, all sorts of stuff off it. Also finished the charge wiring, and I'm just going to redo this janky looking stuff here that was sort of interim measure. But apart from that, we are getting very, very, very close here. The tyres have arrived. They had to come from Sydney, thanks to Becker Tyres. So they'll be mounted on pretty soon, probably after the dyno, and then we can like do some road tuning after an alignment. So there's still a massive amount to do. Like there's still a massive list to do, and the list is always growing. So you know, we just have to work through it one piece at a time and deal with it as it comes. Alright, so I have to make brackets for the harnesses, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this scrap piece of angle iron. It was actually the frame that my lift got delivered in. So I'm just going to cut 100mm pieces and then sink a hole in there and like cut a slot. But whoa, oh well, that'll do. So now I just have to clean the pieces up, and then I'll mark them, and then I'll drill some holes to size for the edges, and I'll just join those edges with a grinder, and there we have a nice slot. So the end result, once the seat is installed and the captive stud on the body is there, we get our piece and it sits over the top, and we'll just wind the nut on top of that, be captive, and then the harness will slip inside here and do up against this instead of like an eyelet or something like that. It's so much more secure, and if they fail me for this, then I've got bigger problems. Should probably get on to making this tuned intake. Cash can's also done. Thanks, super cheap brand 4-litre thinner container. That's pretty awesome. Okay everyone, welcome back to the Empire of Hurt. It is now the 23rd of January, and it's been made aware to me that the regulations for the event were made available on the website. It's a weird way to find out, I know. Would have rather more official way, but you know, we've got it. So I printed them out. It's time to see if we comply. So now the intake's sorted, all the plenums and stuff, just taking the throttle bodies off for cleaning now. We've installed the rear screen. So the idea with this, it's a bit of a flash guard. If anything were to actually physically go wrong back here, then we'll kind of have a bit of protection here. And you'll notice these two holes, these are for the intakes. So the idea with these is to get this one here, and we feed that in there. And then we get this one here and feed that all the way in there, and we'll have individual ducts to the pod filters, and they'll get ram air from in there. Now you may notice that some of the panels are on, so yeah, it's looking pretty crazy at the moment. We've even got some flames. People are wondering what we used. Then I'll show you when it's in the sunshine, because it's actually red glitter and copper spray. Who would have thought it looked so good on a race car?
adjustable rear cast on the car.
We're here at ABS Midland because they're like freaking awesome dudes, and they've allowed us to hire their fancy alignment machine, which is a little bit of an upgrade more than our piece of string in the shed. So we're just setting up the tuber. There's no real format for this thing. Harry loves it. So we've sort of like plugged in some numbers, and just from guesstimates, we're just going to set what we think is right, and then sort of do a few laps, and we'll figure out if it's good or not. But at least then we'll have a baseline to go from. I'm also using a microphone because the audio in here freaking sucks. So yeah, once we finish the alignment, we can sort of get it on the road and get a feel for it. I have driven it in its alignment before, and yeah, it was not good. So yeah, when Harry's actually finished doing some actual work for once, then we can sort of take it out. Righto, so from our piece of string, this is where we were, pretty far out of the freaking ballpark. We had almost 23 mil of front toe out, and a lot of toe in the middle. We had camber was not too bad, and in the rear we had a positive 2.5 mil of toe, which wasn't too bad. The camber was like pretty good, and the caster thrust angle was pretty good. So this is what we've adjusted it to. These are just sort of numbers we've literally pulled out of our rear ends, what we thought it should be. So we've set the front caster like pretty aggressive, and the rear caster like pretty neutral, and just given it a tiny bit of toe out at the front, and a tiny bit at the rear inwards, because when it squats, it like really like toes out. So when it squats, it becomes neutral. So we tested that by basically jumping up and down on the car while it's on the machine, because then you can see like the range of movement. So yeah, this is pretty much our alignment as we have it. So we're going to see how that goes, and at least then, like I said, we've got a baseline, and we can sort of set up some sticks and poke it with another stick, and go from there when we actually do some adjustment. But I dare say it should drive straight now instead of scaring the poop out of me. Well, maybe it'll do both. Rightio.
Yeah, so we've made it to Albany, and all those people that thought the whole tuber was on a tilt tray, nah mate, which is all I am. And we've got accompanying us is the Beckett boys in their bucket right there. This thing is super angry, so anyone who followed it last year will know it like had a couple of problems, but yeah, now she's bog angry, and it's quite windy here in Albany, as it does get in the afternoon. So we're getting ready to do the bump in, so we can drop both cars off, and yeah, then we can have at it tomorrow morning. It's really sunny here. Alrighty, so here we are at Race Wars 2019. Going for a bit of a wander at the moment to see where Adz with his bucket of bolts is currently at, and I think he might actually be just about ready to stage up and go down the track. We'll go for a bit of a wander anyway and see where we're meant to put the car and go from there. How's she running, lads?
Yeah, it's good, eh? Yeah, just doing a lot of like feeling laps, like feeling it out. I don't know how fast we're going, but yeah, might need a little bit of adjustment in the front end with the toe. It's like a little bit squirrely by the end of the thing, but pretty much figured out 1, 2 short changes to 3, just roll it on and noise pretty much. Alright, so at this event, they do their timing with Raventech, and they like SMS you what your speed is and stuff. Some people might know my KP61 that ran last year. It did like 229 at 800 meters. I've just got the quarter mile rolling ET from the Starlet, which is 143.64. So that's from last year. So if I go to this year's, our rolling quarter mile for the tuber is 161. So this thing is literally faster than my freaking 10-second Starlet, but that means we're probably set to be able to achieve probably 200. I thought it was a bit sketchy. I wasn't sure how fast we're actually going, but looks like we're set. Maybe we might crack 200, which I think I've got to need another toilet break before I do that. Yeah, sweet. So just did like 175 over 800 meters, like rolling. Felt pretty good, but that's Harry, so he's a pussyfoot.
But yeah, I'm actually going to drive fast.
So I don't have you in shot, but just having a bit of a tasty snack here in a tuber.
We broke down at the start line. We actually ran out of fuel waiting for another run. So what are you going to do, hey?
Time for snacks.
We need about a minute head start. What? We need about a minute head start on him. That's 5 seconds start.
22. I've made a few changes to the car. Licked the stamp, put on the envelope, just gonna go for it. Gonna do probably 2, maybe 3 runs to the 1,000 meter. We're setting up for now. It's just Sunday morning, and just turn this off, a bit of audio. So I'm just gonna see what it'll do. I've lowered the front by 30 mil. I've taken half the fuel out, so I'm only carrying 5 litres. Running a risk of fuel surge, but pick up at the back of the tank, so it should be alright. Made a couple of alignment alterations to the front, and yeah, taking my little get over here, take my little rock guards off the side, and I'm gonna get absolutely freaking showered with rocks and shit. But you know, just gonna try and make it happen. Yesterday I did 179 over the rolling 800. So I'm just gonna see if I can maybe try and do better than that to start off with. But anything better is an improvement, and if the poor tuber survives, then that's a win. If we do better, we do better, and that's pretty much all there is. So just gonna go for it. I did maybe keep the boot in a little bit longer than I should have yesterday, just to feel it out how it's going to be, and taking from that, done the alterations I wanted to do today, and yeah, we'll just see how we go. Like I said, again, like just going to feel it out, just make sure it sticks, and push it through the wall, and that's all that's going to happen. I'll see you on the other side. Alright, so I just did my first VMAX. I had to wait ages because the ITP Supra came off the track. His chute failed to deploy, and as you can see, the return road is shithouse, and I'm getting there's a lot of rocks. Shit, yeah, but pretty solid run. Wasn't real ready for it. I thought they were going to send the other guy out first. So like, my belt's loose and stuff. So it was pretty hairy. But I had my visor up and stuff, and yeah, it wasn't really in the game. It's hard to get in the game. Man, the one time I wear shoes, rocks everywhere. Too many rocks. Alright, so you may know now by the time this video gets out, we've been shut down for the day. There was an incident, and now the federal police have been on a special task force, have closed down the event for fencing concerns. So we're just gonna pack it up, and that'll be it. managed to get 182 on the 1000. It was pretty sketchy, but yeah, just pegged it and hope for the best. And forgive me, I'm just going to move this camera up a little bit. All right, so yeah, just going to yeah, wrap it up there. But yeah, sincerely hope the dude's all right. It's a bit of a major incident, but what do you do? That's racing, hey. Just hope the dude's all right. Well, I guess that's it for Race Wars 2019. Thanks for watching.